Well, good morning, my good people. It is Monday, the 15th day of the month of December, and it looks like there's somewhat of a crypto frenzy or crypto panic going on right now. And of course, an early morning silver reversal. And so, as always, we're going to talk about that and a lot more. Welcome, good people. Hope all is well. Just jumping right into it. No intro, no nothing. And I want to give you my thoughts and opinions, as well as check in with you guys to find out what you're keeping your eyes on. There's always something new in the world of a reset or restructuring. And so, it's never going to be a dull moment. But before I move forward, for those who are plugged in, if you have not as of yet, let me know where you're watching from. And let me know what you're keeping your eyes on. There's lots of things to touch on. And of course, here in the great state of Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area, it is 18 degrees, and I'm feeling it down to my bones. And so let me know where you're checking in from as well. Feel free to throw out your temperature in the chat or in the comments section. It's always good to, just be able to think about other people and other places staying warm. And so it's going to be a doozy. But as always, for those who are checking in, let me know if my audio is coming in good. Let me know if everything is looking good on the visual side, and then we'll jump right into it. And I noticed a lot of bear sentiment in the crypto space, and just I'm anticipating more of a continual PR campaign for the crypto space. While all along, I have reports as to how Wall Street, Jamie Dimon, and Larry Fink, it's unfolding so clearly to me how the decentralized digital distributed ledger technology space is being set up wonderfully for Wall Street to capture it. And Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon, man, they're plugging away, they're building. And so it's interesting. But the silver reversal, once again, Monday morning opened up in the Western Hemisphere. LBMA did the best they could to slam it down below $64. And as soon as the markets opened here, whoop, right back off to the races. So it's becoming obvious where the nation states, where people, where not even retail yet is running. And silver happens to be at the very center of that. And that's exciting. So, all right. Before I move forward, let me acknowledge a couple people. We have, looks like Adriston, if I'm not saying that incorrectly. Appreciate you. We got DD Prepper. We got Mike checking in from Chicago. I know you cold. I know it's cold in Chicago, Mike, right off the water. We got Light Broker checking in. Keep my eyes on the ice. We got what else we got here? We have I'm gonna butcher it. Alabama's 30 degrees, down to 17 last night. Man, okay. All right, so lots of interesting things going on. Okay, so let me not waste any more time, man. I just have to share my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter because everything is interconnected. There are no such thing as coincidences. Everything is intentional, and it's our responsibility to filter through the noise. And of course, yeah, I got a lot of noise out the White House, but I'll hold that and hopefully be able to share that. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Let me get into. I'm going to talk about the good side of the markets this morning. I haven't even checked the S&P 500, which happens to be the talking points, primary focal point for the health of the economy. But let's just jump right into the most important thing, which of course is silver, and it looks like gold is starting to get somewhat of a slight reversal, but as we can see on the screen here, typically in times past, silver was always the one that lagged behind when it came to early morning, either slams or upward reversions. And so as of right now, it looks like gold is having its issue with not experiencing the same type of reversal that silver is. And what I mean by reversal is exactly what I was talking about. Let me just zoom in here so you can see what I see and just talk about the efforts by the bullion banks to try to do what they do best, which is to suppress. But suppression is no longer going to be able to really stick. So let me just share with you right above my head here, as you can see. Let me zoom in here. We go 6 hour. And so literally, look at this thing right here along my face. So from a peak of $64.07 at 8:51 a.m. down to a bottom of 63.20 within a hour time frame, it was a complete reversal. So literally, as the LBMA is closing out, Crimex is starting to pick up, and the dump did not help the Western Hemisphere. And so here we are now. It got back up to slightly 63.98. So that dollar movement there was very short-lived. That was less than an hour. And so now it's 63.70. So now Crimex is open. They're trying to do maneuver on the back end, what they're going to do to try to dump prices. So it's going to be the side trajectory upward throughout the day. So okay, that's good. That's to be expected. But here's the part that is spooking a lot of people. And so it's somewhat calmed down, but it was at 2.8%. But nevertheless, here, just look at what's happening in the crypto space, and X right now is going crazy. You have every maximalist out trying to calm the storm, trying to pour some type of optimistic viewpoint on the crypto space, because if there was no positive spin on this drawdown here, it will go further faster, because you have the big players out here talking about this is a great opportunity to buy the dip, and they're pointing to Michael Saylor. He just bought $1 billion worth. Don't be late. And then this is also not coming less than an hour or two off of the heels of Luke Groman deciding to liquidate a good portion of his stash. So that was a very problematic topic on X. And then also Robert Kiyosaki, about a month ago, he dumped some of his bags. So literally the big money players, those that are in the game for just profit's sake as well as speculation, they are adjusting their holdings. And the crypto space is like, they were never a part of us. They were never this, that. People, is just an asset, literally. Like, it's an asset. It's not money. You can't spend it. It's not legal tender in that regard, because just capital gains tax. So anyway, I can go on and on and on. But it dropped down to 86,000, and people are freaking out. And clearly, I'm touching on this just because I'm seeing the narrative play out in real time. As I mentioned, Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon, they have already got their claws on this. It's in their system now, so they control where it will go. And it's going to go lower for their sake, because it buys them time to set up their infrastructure for tokenization. And I got an article talking about Jamie Dimon and how he's joining BlackRock and Goldman Sachs. So once you got the three of the biggest players, biggest institutions setting up their infrastructure, because they have clarity, it just lets us know that Bitcoin is primarily being used as a distraction and a diversion tactic amongst the retail space to psych them in the idea that they're going to be able to profit on the way up. But then again, what do you think is going to happen to Bitcoin and all the other so-called decentralized cryptos once their infrastructure is complete? Do you think they're going to let you profit the same way that they're going to profit as well? Those are just some things you got to wonder. So, okay. But anyway, that was somewhat of a little bit of an emotional rant on my part. But it's just one of the things I hate to see people being deceived when everything is becoming clear by the moment. And then you got the inner community bickering between the development teams, between Core and Knots. There's like an internal civil war happening right now, and the mainstream media is not touching it because they don't want people to get out faster than what they are talking about. But anyway, okay, let me catch my breath. Okay, let me catch my breath. I'll get a little amped up. Okay, so let me give it to you straight. What else is going on here? So I'm going to just go right to X and share with you some of the sentiment, because I think it just really shows where things are heading. And on top of that, we'll never get promotional positive PR from the mainstream or even a lot of big players when it comes to silver and gold, because all the big players, meaning the billionaires, the high net worth individuals, the VCs, the hedge funds, they're all dependent upon the speculation in the crypto space. So they're not going to come out and go on any of these mainstream news channels promoting gold and silver the way that they will crypto, because you can't really make a boatload of currency just buying and holding gold and silver sitting in the vault. That the price appreciation there happens as the currency is destroyed. But when it comes to crypto space, it's being driven by primarily stable coins. And so literally I'm anticipating Tether coming out any minute now with some type of acquisition or minting of new stable coins for the sake of it flowing back into crypto before they lose a little momentum there. But okay, let me just share something that caught my attention. So on the screen here, this was 48 minutes ago. This will really spark me to really head in this particular angle here, because it says 140 million liquidated from crypto market in the past 60 minutes. And then the shift goes right into this. Silver prices have reached parity with the oil prices for the first time since the 1980s. And so literally, one silver ounce is currently worth $63.80. This is okay, about an hour ago. It says or 6,050 cents more than one barrel of crude at 57.60, 70, 57.30. Wow. It says by comparison, the WTI crude oil price were 5.5 times higher than silver prices in the mid 2020s. It says since then, silver prices have surged 206%, while oil prices have dropped 44%. And the reason I focused on this is because the dollar, or Federal Reserve note, what we've known as our legal tender currency, has been the world's liability, but it was always, I guess, pegged to or dependent upon oil, aka that's why we have the petrodollar system. And so as we're witnessing the USD price of crude oil trend downward, that's going to put more of a strain and a stress on the Middle Eastern nations, which rely heavily upon the revenue from oil. And so if they're not profitable in making continual revenue streams in USD terms, it's going to force the Middle East to pivot more than they already have. Hence the idea of China stepping in with it and partnering with a lot of the OPEC nations and accepting the yuan. So that's one pivot that the West Middle East is going to make. But also, you're going to eventually have the outright admission and the deliberate acquisition of gold and silver outside of what we already know. And so I saw this is kind of like a side topic, but I saw a article or announcement a couple weeks ago about Saudi Arabia discovering a large deposit, a gold deposit. And I'm thinking, like, if you just, for me, seeing all these headlines and just trying to connect the dots. And so with that Saudi Arabia post that I saw, I didn't comment on it, but I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd. And then it was a month or two before that, Iran said that they found a deposit. And then it was another nation that said they discovered a deposit. And I'm starting to wonder and question, like, why all of a sudden now, within the last year or two, with gold surging and there being a continual removal of dollar liabilities out of these nation states' reserves, are they revealing or announcing these deposits of gold that they're finding? And my speculation is that they're making these announcements and or allowing it to become public knowledge because of the pivot that we're all witnessing towards gold. And it's being done by what used to be petrodollar / US dollar reserve asset dependent nations. And now all of a sudden, I think that's a sign or a admission publicly that, you know, gold is going to be included more in the plans of these nation states that announce that they have found these mysterious deposits. And then I got me also thinking about, like, it's good to say every nation state, if you just go looking within the ground underneath your country, you're going to find some more oil, because I'm sure there's an abundance of oil down there. We've been lied to about, you know, the scarcity of oil. God gave us more than we need to accomplish what it is that, you know, mankind is supposed to accomplish with, just like all the minerals as well as all the elements that are on the periodic table is in the earth underneath everybody. And so it's just unfortunate that the powers that be have hijacked the world by making people price and use Federal Reserve notes, aka dollars, to value all those things. But clearly, I think a lot of this deposit announcement is leading to a shift more so than what we're going to hear about. So you won't hear about it on the mainstream media, of course, but you got to go on X to find it for yourself. But back to the whole point about the crude oil. And so literally, as we're witnessing the price of crude drop, and then you're going to have the Venezuelan invasion any minute now. Any minute now, we're going to be going into Venezuela at some point and to capture their oil. And I posted a video on the Telegram showing how the quality of oil that's in Venezuela is the most pristine, thickest, richest, most abundant supply that has not been captured by the oil cartel. And so that is a major reason why the U.S. want to get a hold of that, because there is Russia and Chinese influence and presence in Venezuela, and they have been benefiting, helping the Venezuelan people refine and process that thick oil for their sake. And on top of that, that's a part of their agreements that they have set up. So I don't know if Russia and China is going to be willing to give up outright their stake to the Venezuelan oil. So it might be a little bit of a clash there. So we'll have to wait and see. But once again, it's going to put more pressure on the Middle East to have to make some alternatives, and therefore their alternatives are going to come in de-dollarizing their economies ultimately. So, but just to finish up here, it says WTI crude is now on track for its worst year since 2020 pandemic's decline of -20, while the silver is on its best annual performance since 1979, up 150%. We are witnessing a major macroeconomic shift, and so this is what that shift looks like. That is being displayed here. Let me make it so you guys can see what I see here. So as you can see here, this is that shift that they're talking about. Literally, like silver is more important than oil, and we need oil to make the world go round. You need oil to get silver out of the ground when it comes to the mining space. So, like, yeah, literally, what is being revealed to me is we are witnessing the breakdown in narrative of this new digital asset class that the West wants to succeed, which it will, once they pivot more, cut more, and the Fed start buying more liabilities, funds going to flow. But in the meantime, they're having a difficult time keeping that narrative afloat when the rest of the world is showing that real commodities, real wealth comes from the ground in a multitude of ways. Gold, silver, critical minerals, you name it. That narrative is prevailing because it's becoming obvious. Just look at the price. And so it's becoming harder to manipulate the price downward. Therefore, the rhetoric from the West is going to need to intensify and increase, because you can't continue to tell people to just wait, buy and hold and wait, and the price is going to reverse, because it will. But most people are not in the crypto space for the sake of longevity. They're in it to make a buck now. And if they're losing money after having got in at a very high price, it's going to be hard for people to sit around and go for a ride down and not feel a panic of them losing their wealth. So they're going to probably even dump more, taking a loss. And obviously, you're going to see what's going up. It's going to be silver and gold. So you're going to shift in that direction. And that's how gold and silver will get more retail attention at the demise and the downward trajectory of the crypto space. And the banks all along, they're good because they're tokenizing everything. So they're going to be more than happy to position themselves even further when it comes to crypto or whatever. So just pay attention to the narrative, my good people. Okay, let me give you some more here. I have more things that I want to touch on. And so to talk more about silver's reversal, and so for those who might be coming in late, the reversal I'm talking about is the early morning slam down, which appears that they're attempting it again right on time. And so here we have, let me just get it over here. So this is that reversal I'm talking about. Oops, where markets opened up here and immediately it shot up. And so as of now, let me just go back to the top, man. So as of right now, silver market opened up, shooting up, and then now, as the climax gets settled in, it was a slam down, rose back up, slam down again. So we're going to witness this throughout the day. But one thing that's different is that all these reversals of ups and downs, it's all trending upward still. So literally, momentum is pushing silver towards 64, regardless of what the slams are trying to do by getting it down to, say, 63. 63.30. Like, so between $63 and it's $64 is where we might hover throughout the day on the, the buying up and then the dumping of contracts, the buying up and dumping of contracts, all the way up to where the today might end at 63.95. And so you got to think about how much effort does it take to keep it from going, from keeping silver from shooting off, rather than trying to keep it within $1 range. And once again, this is just some normal, what's becoming more normal during the trading day as we approach 2026, which is going to be a completely unprecedented time frame for humanity in a variety of ways. Because we're going to have a lot of geopolitical tensions, a lot of distractions, a lot of diversion tactics, and we're coming into the point where the United States government owes more than $8 trillion that need to be paid, need to be refinanced. And so therefore, just this morning, looking at the news, you got the narrative coming out. Who's the next Fed chair going to be? Is it going to be They got two names, Hassett and somebody else. Like both of them, the only way to go get the job is if they promise Donald Trump that they're going to cut substantially. Because think about this, both of them are going to do what they're told in order to keep their job, or they're going to have they're going to just become public backlash pieces for Trump. And so he requested, I showed y'all last week, he requested that he wants interest rates to be cut closer to 1. He wants the same type of environment that he had the first go round, because that allows him to say, look at the stock market, look at the markets, they're doing this. You look at your 401ks. It gives him the right to say our economy is booming. Because if you look at markets, if everything's in the green, that's considered booming. But then if you look at behind the scenes at all the indexes and indicators, we're clearly going through some very problematic times with jobs, with the consumption base. People aren't spending as much on stupid stuff like they used to because of concerns of jobs. The housing market, depending on where you're looking at, people aren't selling. Houses are coming off the market right now. Interest rates will go higher than they are now because the world is recognizing the U.S. is no longer a credible, credit-worthy nation, because we literally have gone rogue with the fact that QE is now starting. So you factor all that in, it's going to be hard for them to lie. It's going to be hard for them not to try to intensify the lies. And then they're talking about dividend tariff checks. And then they're talking about this upcoming year tax refund is going to be higher for more people. It's like, what would $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 of your own money being given back to you actually do for you? That's the part where they're not really considering this. The only way this administration can really get ahead of the narrative is to do something drastic. If you want to do something drastic, literally eliminate the income tax like you keep claiming that's going to happen sometime in the future, and allow people to take whatever proceeds or gains that they have off of this asset bubble and allow them to spend it. That will unfortunately cause a large amount of inflation. But then again, it'll buy them a year, because the inflation will be lagging, say, 6 to 12 months, give or take. And so literally our economy will go through a boom like never before. People will spend like never before if they have the green light to go out and spend without the consequences of taxes. And this goes into more the point of why taxes is so irrelevant, because it's not even a viable revenue source for the government. Because if you bring in 4 to 5 trillion, tariffs is not really doing anything, because the so-called 18 trillion that he has brought in thus far, I'm not sure where that's coming from. But once again, the deficit is already a problem. You're not going to pay no debt off. Let's just stop kicking the can and just pull the plug on this damn thing. Let's get into the rebuilding phase. Let's go through the destruction and the unfortunate chaos so that we can start rebuilding towards something. Will be ideal. Let's do it now. Pull the plug now, rather than kicking the can down, trying to get us. They're trying to buy time to get us through the remainder of this half of a decade into the next, 2027, 2028 time frame, because they can't, by 2030, all this is going to be we're going to be in a new world, basically, literally, the way things are trending now. Because nobody in the markets, no analysts, no commentators are connecting all the dots together. And those dots they need to connect is the fact that you got UN Agenda 2030 is still operational, still in full effect. Governments have already changing legislation to suit the needs of the globalists that want to unite the world under one narrative. You got World Economic Forum. Larry Fink now is a stand-in chairman, and he is hell-bent on making sure that the markets and the public-private partnerships with private companies taking over and capturing and helping support the UN agenda, and the digital ID and the social credit score and the carbon score and you name it, they're working on that. And then third, this is the part I'm going to get into in the future, which is what you really need to pay attention to, because I'm in Metro Detroit, and I noticed the intensified spiritual conflict that's coming. Islam is becoming more of a trending topic because of the videos being shown about the devout Muslims not even necessarily radical. I would never call them radical. They're just devout. They're more devout in their beliefs than what me as a believer in Christ, happen to display. I'm vocal with my faith, but they're vocal and very demonstrative with theirs, i.e., praying in the middle of roads, praying in public places, blocking traffic 5 times a day, the chants going out throughout the day, and the intense push of Sharia law into the judicial system. Hence, Texas having two semi quasi Judea Sharia law compliant jurisdictions in their area. And then with Dearborn, Michigan, and Hamtramck, which are two metropolitan cities, are all Muslim, they are becoming more vocal and more bold in their approach to how they handle American citizens. And that's just a start. And all of this, I believe, has a lot to do with the Abraham Accord. And so this administration is labeled the most friendliest president of the nation state of Israel. The Abraham Accord is being driven by the Israelis to get the Muslim world to let down their hatred towards them and to pursue peace. But anybody with any general biblical knowledge know that there cannot be peace during this realm of life. Everything is an illusion. Everything is a distraction, diversion tactic. Everything is a deceptive tool by the enemy. And so I've watched, I'm ranting right now, but I'm trying to connect the dots of which stuff nobody talks about, because it's just not about money. It's not just about making money and profiting and getting gold and silver. Will not really help you as we get towards 2030 and beyond, if we get to the world where they're working towards. And so the Abraham Accords, UN Agenda 2030, and the World Economic Forum's Fourth Industrial Revolution, those three aspects are working full strength right now. And if people don't wake up and realize that we're being distracted in between with Bitcoin price and then silver and gold price going up, that's great. But Bitcoin, gold, and silver will not save you when it comes to your front door. When I mean when our nation is overran and overtaken by a opposing ideological, philosophical, and theological worldview, you ain't gonna be thinking about gold and silver. You ain't gonna care about no Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you know that now. So let's put first things first. I'm taking it here because I feel led to do that, because this is what will be most important as we get through this reset. Those three things I talked about. So pay attention to those. You want to probably take more time to see headlines that won't be promoted or propagated on mainstream media, and find out the decisions that are being made on your behalf. Once again, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, people. And I did that long rant because, yeah, it's time to really wake up, my friends. This is more than about gold and silver and Bitcoin, in my opinion. But anyway, okay. So now that I got that out, let's talk about some things happening in the silver realm. So here's on the screen. Here we have from Bullion Star. This was 8 hours ago, which was this in Singapore. It says downpour in Singapore today, and the queue at Bullion Star is wrapped around the building. Think about that. People are choosing the queue in bad weather for physical metal in hand instead of buying digital promises from home. Weather doesn't deter conviction. And so in this picture here, you see one of the people who works for Bullion Star walking, and you literally see a long queue of people. Let me see if I can refresh this. You see a long queue of people outside a building getting physical silver and gold, I'd assume. But following them, they do a good job of keeping people up to date on how much silver is being bought. And as of now, I won't refresh, but if you go to Bullion Star, you see the video. Literally, he walks, is wrapped around the building. People standing in line early morning trying to get their weight up. So that's just something that is happening in real time. Okay, so let me see what else I got here. Let's just see where S&P is at right now. Let's just see where we at right here. Let's look and see how the markets are looking for the. legacy system. So as of right now, Nvidia is getting a bid. Somebody must have did some back money deals. And so we got Google's down, Amazon's down, Microsoft, Apple's down. Okay, so the Magnificent Seven is not looking too magnificent, but it's still early. It's still early. All right, let me see what else we got here. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I got there's a couple of things here, but nothing really major per se. But once again, keep an eye on the upward and the sideways momentum of silver throughout the day. My thought will be that it's going to end closer to 64 than it will 63. But we know how hard pressed they are to make sure that this doesn't get out of hand. Because once again, at $63, this still is the most affordable metal to be able to get from a wealth preservation standpoint. And of course, we got gold being slammed in real time. Look at this. They are doing their best to make sure that gold doesn't show any signs of life today. And so this could go deeper. And so, yeah, this is just what's happened. But anyway, let me just, for those who are checked in, if you have not, hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. And as always, I appreciate your time, energy, and effort and support. And also feel free to share thoughts, ideas, and comments on my little rant there about the primary three things that people should really begin paying attention to. And go from there. Go to silver, food, and water, 100%. Rabbi RTD TV. Oh, man. Yeah, must have dosing. You must be having dosing on that Schofield Bible. Believe me, one thing is true. All truth will be revealed. And when it comes to the light, people will see. That's all. That is all. That is all. Mike calls it administration. I call it crime group. Bro, why are you echoing Yahoo talking points? You look right for the 7K pay. I don't know who Santa Yahoo is. Satan Yahoo. I don't know who Satan Yahoo is. I never heard of that person. FedEx made me full time, then reminded it a month later. So okay, so all right, well, that's all she wrote, people. Full of hope says, "Hey man, appreciate you, man. Just want to check in, share my 2 cents. A lot of panic out here, but also be a good cheer, because we know what's going to happen. Eventually, they're going to cut this printing press on and flood the world with these, and anything that's sound, true, and trusted, preferably coming from a periodic table, will do people best. And of course, there's all types of ways to get involved. You got the miners, you got all types of stuff that I'm looking into as well. So it's going to be very interesting, but there's never going to be a dull moment put like that. You're going to always have something to entertain you, but just not set up for entertainment. Focus on education and then the actual putting to use of that information towards your betterment, and or how you're going to serve and better the lives of others. That's ultimately, what it's about, adding value to other people. So, okay, good people. Well, with that being the case, be blessed, be safe, and we'll be back at another day, another time. And so feel free to drop comments, thoughts, ideas. Make sure you subscribe, take this share if you found value, and I will catch you guys later. And as always, for those who may be new, you never know, scroll down to the description for some options for those who want to find out what's available to them. And while I'm at it, let me just go ahead and share it with you and put you on game. So for those who want to get the affordable gold, we have the mini bars. Feel free to get yourself some 24 karat bars. Definitely be worth your time because it's not going to zero. You can believe that. And then also for those who want to be a part of a silver community where you can stack, automate your way, and earn silver by helping other people, consider becoming a member of the silver team. Quick Silver Wealth Accelerator Program. Links in the description. Check it out. And then last but not least, if you have not gotten yourself some of these doozies here on the screen, feel free to do that. We got affordable gold backs. And they will not get any cheaper because the Federal Reserve note will not go away. So anyway, $8 for 1 unit gold back, 24 karat gold note. Links in the description. Check it out if you are interested. But other than that, be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you later. Peace.